This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth with breaking news. Mark Carney has just been sworn in as Canada's newest Prime Minister. This globalist bankster, this WEF puppet and Bilderberg insider was in fact selected, not elected, proving that the system here in Canada is not broken, my friends. The system is clearly fixed. Now, many of you are saying, Dan, aren't you aware that something like this has already happened with Kim Campbell, who became the Prime Minister in the exact same way after the resignation of Brian Mulroney? Or what about John Turner, who became Prime Minister in the exact same way following the resignation of Pierre Elliott Trudeau? Well, folks, the difference between Campbell and Turner is that they were elected and voted to become members of the legislature. They were members of Parliament. They were representing the people who voted for them. Whereas Mark Carney, on the other hand, has never received a single vote from a Canadian in his life. He holds no place in public office. He's never had a seat in the legislature. He's not a member of Parliament. He has, in fact, been appointed and selected, and he holds zero allegiance to the Canadian people, but all of his allegiance goes to the King of England, Charles III. Listen to what the incoming Prime Minister has to pledge when becoming the Prime Minister of Canada. Listen closely.
I, Mark Carney, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I shall be a true and faithful servant to His Majesty King Charles III as a member of His Majesty's Privy Council for Canada. I will, in all things, to be treated, debated, and resolved in Privy Council, faithfully, honestly, and truly declare my mind and my opinion. I shall keep secret all matters committed and revealed to me in this capacity, or that shall be secretly treated of in council. Generally, in all things I shall do as a faithful and true servant ought to do for His Majesty.
A faithful and true servant to His Majesty the King. Well, folks, in case you didn't know, His Majesty the King, King Charles, can be seen here being poked in the chest by a member of the Rothschild banking dynasty. And the reason why this Rothschild is able to poke the future king in the chest like this is because of the great deal of power that they hold and control over the royal banking family because of a network of a pedophile blackmailing ring that they are in control of. They used Jimmy Savile to compromise the future king. In case you didn't know, after his death, there were hundreds of allegations of sexual abuse made against this man, and he was investigated. His whole legacy was tarnished, and the police concluded he was a predatory sex offender and possibly one of Britain's most prolific sex offenders. And these guys were the closest of friends. There are countless photos of these two hanging out together time and time again. Again, this is Britain's most prolific pedophile, guys. Jimmy Savile, completely tied and connected to the royal family. Now, here's where things get very interesting. What you're looking at here is a picture of the future king with Robert Maxwell. This is the father of Ghislaine Maxwell, who can be seen here meeting the Queen with her father. Of course, Ghislaine Maxwell is the girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein, the perhaps the most prolific pedophile and sex offender and you know, operator of this pedophile blackmailing ring, Jeffrey Epstein. She worked in hand with him. She is now currently serving time for doing so, and look how they managed to infiltrate their way into the Queen's very own private cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, so the royal family has been heavily compromised, this king that Carney pledges allegiance to. If you saw my video, King Charles III, What You Need to Know, you would know all of this because I exposed the Rothschild family's connections to the British royal family and how they used a network of pedophiles to exert a great deal of control over the British royals still to this day. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, here you are looking at a picture of the same Ghislaine Maxwell with Mark Carney. This is from 2013, 1 year after he became the governor of the Bank of England, and 5 years after Jeffrey Epstein was convicted as being a sex offender. So Mark Carney is absolutely being compromised by Ghislaine Maxwell and the Rothschild banking dynasty. I mean, in case you didn't know, the Vatican launched this Council for Inclusive Capitalism back in 2020, and look who's pictured here with the Pope. None other than Mark Carney and Lynn Rothschild. Yes, from the very same banking dynasty who is, running this thing and controlling these puppet politicians. It's the same with Macron and his pedophile wife, Bridget, who I exposed in this video. In France, pedophiles are pushing for mandatory vaccines, where I said the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, fell victim to an elite banking pedophile ring when he was just 15 years old. His current wife, Bridget Macron, seduced the would-be leader when he was 15, and she was his 40-year-old teacher, who was married with 3 kids at the time. As their relationship developed, Emmanuel soon found himself working as an investment banker in a highly paid position at the Rothschild Bank. So that's what they do, guys. They use these pedophiles to gain a great deal of control over these would-be leaders. And Mark Carney was absolutely just selected, not elected. Again, he's never been voted for into this position that he's just received. And some of the things that he's pushing for are going to be very scary. I mean, the man claims to be a Catholic, but so did Justin Trudeau, I'll remind you. And what did we see under the Catholic Christian Justin Trudeau? We saw abortions being completely promoted. We saw assisted suicide being pushed through things like MAID. We saw churches being burned to the ground because of this fake residential school hoax. Guys, if you thought that was bad, just wait until you're going to see what's going to come from this man, Mark Carney, who I will warn you also is one of the biggest advocates for a digital global currency. Beyond politics, Carney wants to reshape the world's financial system. In 2019, he proposed a synthetic hegemonic currency, or an SHC, a global digital currency that would replace the US dollar as a world reserve currency. I don't think Donald Trump's going to like the sound of that very much, do you? And how would it work? Through a network of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. Carney has been one of the strongest advocates for CBDCs, which, if implemented, would give governments the power to track, limit, and even freeze your transactions. This isn't some conspiracy theory. It's what globalist banking elites have openly discussed. And guess who's leading the charge in Canada, folks? Mark Carney. So if you didn't catch my video from a few days ago, guys, wake up, Canada. The selection of Mark Carney proves that democracy is an illusion. I would advise you to check that one out, and just remember, this man was not voted in by anybody. He's not been given a seat in the member of parliament as any kind of a minister leading up to this. He has been selected and appointed by his WEF and Bilderberg overlords, and he is being compromised and is being controlled by the likes of the Rothschild banking dynasty and the Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein pedophile blackmailing operation. So that's your new Prime Minister of Canada, folks. Just wanted to bring that one to your attention, guys. If you do appreciate my efforts to do so, I'd ask that you please check me out here at subscribestar.com/pressfortruth, guys. Here you can sign up for $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month. Whatever is within your means is very greatly appreciated, guys. I can't continue to do this work without the support that comes directly from you, the viewer. So if this is the kind of information that you appreciate, guys, please consider checking that top link in the description below where you can sign up to support me here at subscribestar.com/pressfortruth. And that's all for today, guys. I want to thank you once again for tuning in. Please click the thumbs up button. Share this video with your friends and family who you think need to see it the most. And stay tuned, guys. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.